We are here with Dan from Red Devils TV. Dan, great to have you on the pod. Happy summer. How's everything going? How's your summer going? Any complaints from that side of the pond?
No, mate. We're looking forward to the United season, obviously. Looking forward to be depressed again because obviously how bad last season was. But no, my summer's going great. I'm working hard. I go on holiday soon. It's my birthday next week. So yeah, really looking forward to the rest of my summer. How are you?
Can't complain. Heat's coming. Finally, I heard the weather's a little stormy in Manchester. Hopefully, that's not a preview of the
Yes.
season to come. But we've had some
Yeah.
time to digest. We're in the summer. How are you feeling about last season? What in your opinion went wrong? Anything went right? Let's start there.
Well, I'm a season ticket holder, so obviously I get to go to the games, which is I don't know if that's something to brag about. I really don't know, but no, you know what? Like, despite last season how poor it was, I actually really enjoyed it. Funny enough, and obviously not the results, but with my friends, like the just traveling and stuff like that. It was a good season in hindsight for me on a personal level, but football that was a different story. No, yeah, with that season, obviously, it felt so long ago. Like to think that Ten Hag was our manager this time last year is mental. Like it feels like Ruben Amorim has been our manager for ages. Ten Hag's a distant memory. So the fact that last season was really long when you think about it, and yeah, it wasn't a good season result wise, was it?
No, it was not a good season result wise. I'm glad you did well. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully, you got to go to some good matches, enjoying the crowds at Old Trafford. So, talking about a little bit better results, preseason has been a little bit more optimistic. Preseason's just practice at the end of the day. But what are your impressions of what we've seen from the lads thus far? I guess 4 games into the tour with one left to go.
Well, for me, I thought I see a massive improvement, and not even just the style, the intensity, or anything like that. I'm seeing players actually smile. I'm seeing players like it seems on and off the pitch, the relationships and the morale of the whole squad so much better. But talking about result wise, I mean, we've got a plus goal difference for the first time in 2 years, so that's something great. We're undefeated in pre-season. Hopefully, we can carry that on into the season. But no, in hindsight, I'm actually really shocked. I mean, I have respect for you international fans because me getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to watch United, I'm knackered all day the following day. So I don't know how you guys do it constantly all season round. So massive respect to you guys because I hate it when we have an American preseason tour. But at the end of the day, yeah, I thought we've played much better. I've enjoyed seeing the likes of Cunha in Bumo. I think Leny Yoro for me is a massive standout and taking point away from preseason. He's looked like he's gained an extra 2 years of experience. He's playing with so much more maturity and composure. Same with Patrick Dorgu as well. So it's really got me fired up and excited for the new season. To be honest.
I'm glad. There's a lot of optimism heading into the season. So let's hop into some current events. We're early in the week, but the Šeško bid just came in. We've been hearing a lot of noise about it. What are your thoughts about the number 9 position, the target in general? If we get him, how your feelings about that? If we don't get him, where do we go from there? I just want to get your impressions about Benjamin Šeško, given it's very current, and by the time this posts, he might be in the
Yeah,
door. He might be headed
hopefully.
north. How you feeling?
Yeah, with Seshko, I mean, I'm a massive admirer of his. I've played career mode on FIFA and Football Manager and stuff, so he's got a lot of potential on those games. Whether he has that potential for United or not is a completely different story because United over the years have got a bad track record when it comes to producing and developing players. We have failed on that department. So signing such a young player obviously is exciting, but is it the right move for him? And that's why I think the deal's kind of stalled a little bit because you've got Newcastle who are well known for developing players, but aren't as big as a club as Manchester United. So it's a bit. I can see why Sesko's kind of assessing his options and which is the right move for him, which is fair play to him. For me personally, I don't understand why we've gone for Seshko because you look at the players we've signed in Cunha and in Bumo. We were linked with Emi Martinez from Aston Villa. We were linked with Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa as well. It seems that United, for once, have gone very top heavy for Premier League experience. So I really don't understand why we've signed two really good Premier League forwards and then taken a massive gamble on 80 million, whatever this price tag is for Benjamin Šeško for an unproven Premier League player, because you look at the likes of Rasmus Højlund, Joshua Zirkzee, Antony, Sancho, so many players over the years who haven't worked out. It's a lot of money that are with international talent, and they're decent in their current leagues, but can they do it in the Premier League? And that's the massive thing. But you'd like to think that Šeško might be a bit different to those players because, Arsenal linked with him for the majority of the season, as well as Newcastle. And realistically, they kind of get their transfer targets right. So, yeah, I'm glad that United are in the mix for a player that big clubs want. But at the same time, for me, my preferred option would be Ollie Watkins, just for that Premier League experience. But at the same time, United finished 15th last season. I don't think United fans have a leg to stand on when it comes to, I want this player over this player. We're lucky that we're signing anyone this summer, to be honest.
No, we'll take what we can get. I definitely think going the Premier League proven route, the route Alex Ferguson found so much success in for so long, was a good, shrewd move in the first two signings. Absolutely departure with Šeško. I had similar concerns. Ollie Watkins felt like he would hit the ground running. He'd be an absolute unit, especially with those two playing behind him. So, of the target positions needed, we need a number 9, we need a new goalie, we need a number 6. Like, is this, in your mind, the priority is get a number 9 in before those two positions are addressed, with the remaining time in the transfer window?
I would generally say so because, my granddad is 75 years old and he's watched United all his life. He's a veteran when it comes to being a United fan. But me and him are completely on opposite sides of opinions when it comes to priorities this transfer window. He can't stand Onana. I can't stand Rasmus Højlund. So, and you know what? It's a very divided in our family. So I sat him down and for once I won an argument against him. And I turned around and said to him, all right, how do you win a football match? He went, by scoring goals. I was like, so there you go. You've got a striker who can't score goals and you've got a goalkeeper who can't save goals. But at the same time, is that for me, the reason, this is my personal opinion, is that I think Onana isn't as bad as people paint it out to be because United have struggled scoring goals for so long. We're relying on Onana to make these saves, and realistically, he's not that good enough. But if United can enhance our forward line and start beating teams 3-0, if Onana makes a mistake, we're still winning 3-1. So, and then you win in football matches and you get your 3 points and you higher up the table. So realistically, the whole point of building a spine and building a foundation, having a very strong attack, midfield and defence, and then everything else works around it. Your goalkeeper, your fullbacks, your wingers, everything else works out that way. And you need to build a strong core. But for me, I think United have got a very decent midfield. We just need to find the right balance. I think we've got a very solid defence as well when everyone's fit. You've got Dele, Martinez, Leny, Yoro. We've got so many decent players in that department. Then all of a sudden, when you're signing a very good performing striker and goalkeeper, you're going to talk about United getting top 4 again and possibly challenging for the title. I think we're only about 4 signings away for actually being back up there and challenging. Because for me, I feel like that Ruben Amorim's the right guy to take us forward. I think he's the right guy with the culture change that United are looking at, but only so much can be done in a certain window. I don't want to name drop other fan channels because other fan channels can do how they please and react how they want, but you look at certain other ones, they're so impatient and so desperate for United to get back to the top, which I get, but for me, I'm a bit more of a patient and realistic fan where I can be like, okay, you can't sell all the crap players in one window. You're going to have to wait year by year. I'm on board with INEOS. I think that they've got the right instincts. And for me, in just a space of 2 years, they've already done more than what the Glazers have had in 20 years. So for me, I trust them.
They're certainly trying in a way that the Glazers weren't. You brought it up. I don't know which way to go, but while we're on that subject, Højlund, he's had a really shit year, decent first year, terrible second year in the Premier League, a lot of pressure on the lad. Would you like to see him move on as part of the Šeško deal? Would you like to see us bring in 2 new strikers and have him kind of go his merry way and have success probably in Italy or Germany, which I think he would have success in a lower league. But what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I do believe that Højlund would be much better outside of the Premier League, but the first year of Højlund, I absolutely loved him. I thought he was going to be the next best thing. 16 goals in all competitions, like 5 assists, whatever it was. He had a very good starting season at 19. Then last season, obviously, he fell off a cliff. Now, I'm willing to give him one more season. And this is the only reason why, because I listened to a podcast, I can't remember who it was, but there was a certain person who was talking and said that why United fans should give Rasmus Højlund one more chance, because he's still that young striker, develop him. However, when United signed him, the season had already started, so he didn't get a pre-season with the team. And then last pre-season under Erik ten Hag, he got injured and did his hamstring. So, he's not really had a proper pre-season with United since he's been here. And, he's looked all right this pre-season. He had that chance against West Ham in the first few minutes where he used his pace, his power to get in front of the defender and hit the post, which was a really close chance. So, for me personally, if United were to sign Šeško, he would then be at the firing line. He'd be the main guy and give Højlund a bit more of a break. But the reason why I feel like that Højlund might go is because you've got Šeško, you've got Joshua Zirkzee, then you've got Højlund, and you've also got Chido Martin. And, despite the quality, you can't have 4 strikers compete for one spot. So if Leipzig are willing to do business with United and can guarantee that we get Šeško if they get Højlund, I think that's a deal that United need to really think about.
It's going to be a tough consideration, especially with PSR, especially given the limited budget. Thoughts were limited. It seems to be expanding by the week. We seem to be finding more money under the couch. Interesting one to watch. You mentioned Ruben Amorim, positive. What are your impressions of the man in general? Do you have faith in the system that we've seen thus far? He got thrown in the fucking lion's den in terms of November came in, hot start. But just give me your thoughts about the Portuguese manager.
I really like him. I mean, I'm not being funny, but when Jurgen Klopp announced that he was going to leave Liverpool, he was Liverpool's top target, and at the time he didn't want to leave Sporting. Pep Guardiola, when he was rumoured to be leaving Manchester City before he signed a contract extension, City were also looking at him as their replacement as well. So realistically, when you're looking at 2 top teams who have dominated our league for the last few years, mainly more City than Liverpool, but Liverpool have always been there challenging. When they look at this guy to be the replacement, it's the right appointment. And, with United, he's got a lot more work to do because Liverpool and City have a much more functioning teams, much more quality in players as well. But to say that Ruben Amorim has a decent track record for me, I mean, you look what he did with Sporting after them not winning a title for 20 years, and then within 2 seasons, he's got them winning a trophy, winning the title again. I understand it's the Portuguese league and it's not as high as demand and high in quality. But at the same time, it's like, I look at the small change over the last 4 to 5 weeks since pre-season has started, and I can see a massive difference in such a small amount of time. So I back every manager. So it's not even about Ruben Amorim. I back every manager. I back Solskjaer, I back Ten Hag, I've backed all of them post Alex Ferguson. So realistically, you've just got to be on board with this manager. And I feel like that any United fan that isn't, how can you enjoy the sport? How can you enjoy watching United if you're going into every game with a negative attitude? I back this manager. I back this players. Would there be things that I would do differently? Yes, but that's why I'm not a professional football coach.
No, I appreciate that. We need some positivity in the world and get behind the manager. Even if he's under fire and there's things to be critical about, you got to back the team because we're all here as United fans at the end of the day. Anything back on the transfer window, just because it's current, people always care about what's going on in the transfer. Anything that concerns around the lack of links in certain positions or areas where you think United are leaving it late again? I feel like last year we did a really good job on targeting defense as a way to strengthen. We signed a bunch of center backs. We've signed a few throughout between January as well, and the fullback position too. Any concerns around this transfer window to date? Obviously, a lot of attackers, but what are your thoughts there?
For me, it's hard because a lot of people say we're crying out for a midfielder. We're crying out for Carlos Baleba is the name that everyone's throwing around. And yeah, he's been amazing for Brighton. But at the same time, it's like I look at it and I'm like, for me, Agate and Mainu are enough. They just need to get used to playing with each other. Mainu's brilliant when it comes to carrying the ball. Agate's that ball winner in midfield who just needs to learn how to pass a bit better. So can we upgrade on a player in them positions? Yeah, I think so. Mainly despite how good he is at the moment for his age, he's not the finished article. Neither is Agate. Now, this is where experience comes into it, and this is where you need to sort of create that culture, that winning mentality, and with experience. And the Premier League is very, very intense. And my only thought on the position when it comes to transfer news is, why haven't we been linked with a midfielder with Douglas Luiz for Juventus, who played for Aston Villa, and an amazing midfielder? I don't understand why United haven't been linked with him. And my only frustration is that, why haven't we been linked with him? Because you look at Casemiro, you look at, I'm even going to say it, Bruno Fernandes. I love Bruno Fernandes, but Bruno's 30, Casemiro's 34. You've got to start looking at replacing these players at some point, and that's where United, for me, sort of failed after Sir Alex Ferguson retired, because we never replaced the players that were leaving. And you've just, United are still crying out for Wayne Rooney. I think Wayne Rooney coming out of retirement would still be better than current Rasmus Højlund. So, it is the way that I look at it. I am shocked United haven't been linked with more targets, but at the same time, when you finish 15th, I was also expecting it. I'd like us to be linked with more players, but we're not. And that's why I said before, United fans are in no place to demand a certain player for a transfer, because we finished 15th. We finished the lowest we've ever in our history in the Premier League. So realistically, hopefully next season, or maybe even in January, if we have a positive start to the season, we might get some more transfer rooms. Maybe we'll sign someone in January, maybe a midfield target or something. But as it stands right now, I'm confident going into the season. I think United just need to find that perfect replacement or that perfect partner for Bruno Fernandes, because you've spent 70 million on Mbeumo, you've spent 62 million on Cunha. You're not going to bring those players in and they're going to be starting off the bench. Bruno's going to have to drop into midfield, so you need to find a partner to suit Bruno. But against Everton, we've seen Mbeumo, Bruno, and Cunha as that front three. But then this is what I mean. Why are we signing Šeško, and if that's going to be the front three? And it's just like we're signing players that I haven't got the solution yet. I don't think that's the only thing I'm confused about, because I think front three of Cunha, Mbeumo, and Bruno is an amazing front three. But then this is what I'm saying to you, is that why would you sign Šeško if that's the front three you're looking at, and then Bruno has to drop deeper again? So it's just a bit confusing at the moment, but we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, there have been those interesting transfers with INEOS. Even signing Joshua Zirkzee last summer when we clearly needed number 9, and he's more of a false 9, a 10, and it feels like now even more of that stacking 10s, and Mbeumo and Cunha who play more advanced, but it's been interesting to watch. So, thinking about, what are your expectations for the upcoming season? Where does Dan from Red Devils TV think that United will finish in the table at the end of the day?
I mean, for the first time since I can remember, United have always been in Europe at some point, whether it's Europa League, whether it's Champions League, we get knocked out the group stages or anything like that. United have always had some form of European competition. So I think, especially as the season goes on, you look at your Brightons, your Brentfords, your Nottingham Forests from last season. They've got an amazing runs because they're catching other teams out due to their exhaustion throughout the season. United, who, especially players like Bruno Fernandes and who else, your Harry Maguires, your De Ligts and stuff like that, players who have played Europe for so many seasons in international football, they've been knackered towards the end of the season. But for once, United can work more on the training ground. We can go game by game each week. And I think you'll see a massive improvement for United. So I'm expecting us to smash Fiorentina this Saturday at Old Trafford. I think that you're looking at 3-0 United. I mean, I know you're welcoming back De Gea to Old Trafford, but it's not going to be a good afternoon for him, I don't think, because United are going to dominate him, I think. I think with the slowness of Italian football, United can definitely batter Fiorentina. But no, going into this season, I can't say I expect anything. I expect United to have at least a single digit in the table position. So, anything above 10th. So, I think qualifying for Europe is the essential. The only thing is how strong are the top teams? You know, you've got your. I mean, you look at it now. We've got top five now, which is the threshold for the Champions League football. So you've got Arsenal, City, and Liverpool already guaranteed. So I mean, obviously they're not guaranteed anything. They might have bad seasons, but they'll still find a way to pull it back because they've got that good of squads. So you've got two places left. Out of Chelsea, have just won the Club World Cup. Newcastle, who got Champions League last season. Aston Villa were there. Nottingham Forest were there. Brighton have been up around there as well. And then you add United in the mix as well. And even Spurs as well, despite how bad they were like us last season, they've made some massive changes this season. So you're going to be looking at around 4 to 6 teams competing for 2 spots. And it's just whether we can do it or not is the interesting part. So I think that a strong league finish is the priority. Obviously, you'd like to see United compete for maybe the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. But I think to get the fans on board, you want to have a strong league finish, in my opinion. I think that's the priority.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, Dan, this has been terrific. Where can folks find more of your content and connect with you going forward?
Yeah, thank you for having me first, Alex. I really appreciate it. I was surprised I got the email, to be honest, but no, yeah, I really appreciate the invite. I'd like to do it again sometime. But yeah, you can find me on Red Devils TV on YouTube and TikTok as well. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, Dan, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It's an absolute pleasure. I hope you have a terrific start to the season. I hope we start with a roar against Arsenal and actually smash the Gunners.
Hopefully.
But thanks. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. But thank you again for being on the pod. I can't wait to do it again sometime.
Yeah, me too, mate. Thank you so much. And shout out to your viewers as well. Thank you for watching.
Appreciate you.